Everyone wants more money, but most of us weren't taught how to create an abundant life. That's where the More Money Show comes in. If you're ready to have more money, create more freedom, and experience more fun, turn the volume up. It's time to learn how to create the prosperity and life you have been dreaming of. Here's your host, Cassie Parks.
Hello and welcome. I am here today with Eliza Fayle. I am so excited to talk to her about manifesting $10,000 after reading Manifest 10,000. So welcome, Eliza.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
I'm excited to have you here. Tell us who you are, what you do, because you do lots of cool, fun things.
Thanks. All right. Well, I always lead with my age because it's important to where I'm at in life. So I'm just about 54 and absolutely loving this stage of life. And at age 50, I really embraced my creative play. So I became a whimsical mixed media artist. And for the last 15 years, I've been an intuitive tarot reader. And so working with women to embrace their own creative play. So and I live in Quebec, Canada. No, je ne parle pas français. And we just manifested last year. Before your book, actually, but we manifested our dream home in 15 acres in the Gatineau Hills. So
it's so gorgeous. I love every time you post a picture of it.
Yeah, it's our sanctuary.
Yes, it's so fun. All right, I am just gonna turn it off to make sure we have enough bandwidth. So. But I'm excited to talk to you. So tell me, because you've had some experience with manifesting before, tell me sort of your journey, your experience with being a manifestor.
Right. So, I mean, I think it's been all my life. As a child, I just assumed that things would work out, and they did. I mean, informally, that is manifesting, right? It's all about attitude and belief system.
Absolutely.
And then in my late 20s, early 30s, I started formally studying law of attraction along with, living an intuitive life. But to, things like parking spots, basic things. And then when I moved on into my more late 40s, then it became more formal. And I actually had to giggle because I wrote my story to you on the weekend.
Uh-huh.
And I was talking about parking spots and things like that. And, I submitted my story. And then I had to laugh because I actually manifested my husband. And that's probably information. and I didn't write that. And so, I mean, that was done by, I literally, did scripting. I wrote exactly who I wanted in my life. And interestingly enough, in the same period of time, my husband, a stranger to me at the time, wrote his own list, and we matched our list perfectly. So, so that's sort of been my journey to date. But it really, and I know we're going to talk about this, is I was playing small at this point, other than manifesting my husband.
Right, which is, that's kind of big.
Yes.
I love it. Yeah, so tell me, so when you say playing small, say more about that.
Okay, so I mean, obviously, like obvious things, like when we're driving along, it's like we're going somewhere to a restaurant and it's raining out like it is today. It's like, okay, I put it out into the universe that I would like a parking spot right, near the front door, and that type of thing happens. In terms of my art, it's okay, can I have, I'm looking for that next inspirational idea. So I'll put that out into the universe. In terms of my business, I was playing small as in, I would like the next client, just asking for one.
Yeah.
And then I would get one. It didn't occur to me to ask for 10 or 20.
I love it. I love that. Yeah. So that's such a good example. And that's so that happens, I think, with a lot of people. It's like they get really good at asking for the parking spot or maybe one client, but to step into the realm of having a full client load, they don't necessarily do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. I always like to ask this because I like to follow the path. Did you just see Manifest 10,000 online? How did you come across the book?
Actually, it was through a mutual friend or acquaintance of ours. So when you were writing your book, she was also writing hers, and then she pointed this book out to me. She's actually I'm her client, she's my client. There's sort of a back and forth there. So she knew I'd be interested, and yeah, so it was. It's sort of like follow the breadcrumbs type thing, you know, connecting the dots. There was a mutual person involved there. So as soon as she pointed it out, I grabbed it immediately.
Awesome. I love that. And you read it pretty quick, right?
I did, yes. That's one of the things I really like about the book is your book is that it is a quick read in that sense. There's no fluff. I'm a get to it type of gal, so
Me too.
I didn't want the fluff. It truly is a practical guide as you know, step by step as to you know, get from A to Z. So.
Perfect. And then, and I designed it that way. Like when I went to write it, I was like, I want you to be able to take it on a short airplane flight. And by the time the flight's over, like step off and be able to start applying things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It does that perfectly.
Awesome. So tell me, what was the biggest aha you had in reading the book?
It was the concept of playing big, and I love that the actual name of the book is Manifest 10,000K, because 10,000 that's a large enough sum to be a bit shocking, but it's not. You don't look at it's not 100,000 where you go, oh yeah, I'm not even going to attempt that, right?
Right.
So it really reading your book took me out of that comfort zone of, you know, the parking spot, the single client, and this concept of, and I think you give 3 months, we'll get into how long it took me, but you know, I think in your book you say, you know, an average of 3 months, and that's a reasonable time frame too, but to manifest $10,000 in 3 months to me was shocking, and the results, as it turned out, were even more shocking. So that really, I think that's what it was. It was this breaking this self-imposed glass ceiling I put on myself for what I could manifest.
I love it. And so, all right. So tell us what happened next and how long it took you to manifest, because I love this part.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to give the disclaimer. Results may not be typical. Only because I have been working with law of attraction for like, you know, formally for almost 30 years. So, well, what happened was we had bought a house, and we had this, and it needed all new appliances. It needed high-end appliances because my husband's a chef, and we also needed furniture. So we went shopping, and I just read the book the day before. That was a Thursday, and we went shopping on the Friday. And in that one shopping trip, and it's important to note that we had the money in the bank to buy everything at full price. Okay, that's sort of an important part of the story. And in that one shopping trip, we got everything on our list and saved $10,000.
Amazing. And so I love that you pointed out, because this is important. It was, you had money sitting in the bank. So at the end of the shopping trip, you're expected to have, you know, I'm sure this account wasn't just for shopping, but basically zero left, because you had planned to fill your dream house with the perfect kitchen appliances and furniture and all that wonderful stuff. And then at the end of the day, you actually had $10,000 left over.
Yes, which is the equivalent of manifesting $10,000.
It is. Oh, so good. It's absolutely the equivalent of it. And so tell us about, because what happened in the sort of how it happened is sort of those following those breadcrumbs again. And so I'd love if you share that.
Yeah, so we knew we were going to a particular appliance store because, like I said, my husband had particular high-end appliances in mind, particularly a stove. But when we pulled into the sort of complex of shops, there wasn't a parking spot in front of, I probably didn't do my parking spot thing, but there was not a parking spot in front of the store we were going to, and we ended up parking in front of Sears. And as we're getting out of the car, we saw this big sign, 1 day only, massive sales, you know, those things that Sears does. So we looked at each other and we said, well, you know, we might as well go in there first. And so we walked in, and we, except for the stove, we got all our furniture, all our appliances, signed up for a Sears card at the same time, got points, and got the microwave for free, all in Sears. And we had no intention of ever going to Sears. We were going to go to the appliance store and then to another furniture store. So it was sort of, to me, we were directed to park in front of Sears and see that sign. And the thing is that both my husband and I are open to signs. So if we are put somewhere for a reason, we act upon it. And I think that's important too, you know.
Ooh, yeah.
Not closing yourself off to the opportunities as they present themselves. So we then went to the appliance store, and his high-end stove was massively on sale, plus the ceramic barbecue he wanted was, which he was going to wait for, was also on sale. And it's a high-end barbecue. So we ended up getting that as well.
Fabulous. And you still had $10,000 cash in the bank.
Still had $10,000 cash in the bank, and received a phone call as we were about to leave after all this shopping from the woman we were buying the house from, asking us if we would like to buy any of her furniture. And we were still short a living room set. So we bought her living room set, which is in excellent condition. We bought her living room set, a patio set, and the bar stools. So when we finished the shopping, we were actually at $3,000. After the phone call, that tipped us to the $10,000 in savings.
That's awesome. So good. And there's a couple of things I want to go back to this. I love that you said when you're put somewhere, you act upon it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think that that's huge because earlier you had said, I probably forgot to do my parking spot thing. And I would say like, because you were in alignment with the $10,000, you forgot because you were supposed to end up at Sears.
Exactly. Yes.
Uh-huh. Yeah. But sometimes where I see manifestors get off is they'd be like, oh, I didn't do that. It's not going to work out. And then they do what I call they start turning down the path of it's not working.
Mm-hmm.
But you've trained yourself, your experience. So you guys say more about, when you're put somewhere, you act upon it. I just love that.
Yeah, that's something that I've just learned to do as part of my my intuition training, is to always, always, always listen to that voice. Be it, putting a coffee mug too close down on the counter and that little whisper saying too close, it's going to fall off. I immediately move. I take that 3 seconds to move the mug. Too large things like, oh, we're in front of Sears, I better, there's a reason why. We're not going to question it. We're just going to walk through the doors. So I have been acting upon that voice for, certainly non-stop, not questioning it for about 15 years now.
Love it. And that's so important to manifesting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love it. Very cool. Let's see. I want to talk about this money anxiety disorder that you mentioned. Because we kind of talked about playing small. But I love that you own this, up to that point, I pretty much suffered from MAD, money anxiety disorder. So let's talk about that. Yeah,
I absolutely. That's my one block, and it's, I wrote my story to you that it's funny. I mean, I teach this to women. I teach intuition. I teach them to trust in the flow, but everybody has their one albatross or Achilles heel. And money is mine. Money was mine. I'm going to say money was mine. And I just had this absolutely, even as a kid, I get my allowance. I was 8 years old, Cassie. I had a ledger. Okay.
That makes me love you a little bit more, actually.
pennies out, right? And I just went through life always being afraid that there would never be enough money, and that we could have a whole, hour-long conversation what enough means. But so to the point where, paying bills, I'd break out in a sweat paying bills, convinced the money wouldn't be in the bank. This was never the case. As a matter of fact, as a single mother, there was a period in my life where I lived on welfare while I got my feet under me. I still was provided for. The universe still provided for me and my children, and I was able to retrain, and things like that. But even despite all that, I just had it absolutely ingrained in me that I would never have enough money. And that has only just recently, and your book was part of helping me through this. This concept of busting through that ceiling was that the money has always been there, and the money always will be there. And I actually get to ask for more money, and that's okay.
Yes, that's huge. How does it feel to know that? I get to ask for more and there will be more?
It's very freeing. It allows me to, it allows me to just, go ahead and say yes to things. And in my story to you, I said as a perfect example of this is that my brother's 50th birthday is coming up, and he asked if we would go to Newfoundland with him. Airfare in Canada is very expensive, and Mark and I tend to operate on the, money needs to be in the bank first, but we didn't have the money, and it was short, it was very short notice. Mm-hmm. So I just said, we said yes. And I just trusted. Now I was able to say yes. In the past, I would have said no. I said yes. And I said to myself, and I said to the universe, this is important. This is an important family event, and the money's not there, but you're going to take care of it for me. I know that. You've already got it figured out. The very next day so we paid for the flights on our credit card. The very next day, from an unexpected source, we got an insurance claim that had been outstanding for quite a significant period of time. The very next day, we got that insurance check, and it exactly covered the flights.
I love it. That's so awesome. That's amazing. And I'm not surprised. I'm like, oh, amazing. And of course, that's exactly what happened.
Yes,
right?
but because I allowed it to happen, because in the past I went on, oh, we don't have the money. Should we go? We're gonna end up having to catch up on our credit cards, and we like to keep, this whole chatter in my head would have been going on, and in the end, we might have turned it down. But this time, I just said, sure.
I love it. And then because you said yes. And then you get the, the evidence that, hey, it did work out. It's awesome. That gives you, even more permission or however you want to say it, opportunity to say yes to even bigger and bigger as you go forward.
Oh yeah. I mean, human beings, I had this conversation on Facebook this morning with some of my clients, is that, as human beings, we need tangible proof. All the theory in the world is fantastic, but you need that tangible proof. And it might start with the parking spot, but if you just leave it at the parking spot, that's all it's going to be. If you start asking for bigger and bigger, the proof keeps, it rolls in, and you're freed up to ask for even more.
Yes, that's awesome. So was there one, was it, being able to manifest $10,000 in basically 24 hours? Was it realizing you've been playing small? What do you think is sort of one of those, was the pivotal thing in shifting from this place of, I'd never have enough, to opening up to this bigger place?
Yeah, I think it was the fact that, honestly, I think it's the fact that you put an assigned dollar amount to that. You didn't just say, oh, I'm going to show you how to, manifest money or manifest more clients or whatever it is. You said you were going to manifest $10,000. I'm like, really, Cassie? All right. Cassie says I'm manifesting $10,000. So I will, and I did my homework, which is I missed there. I did my homework. I wrote down everything that I wanted to manifest in terms of the appliances. I wrote down how much it would cost me, and which is part of the homework in your book.
Yes.
And yeah, so, and okay, well, interestingly, it adds up to pretty much $10,000. So let's go for it. So yeah, I think it really, for me, it wasn't some nebulous concept you were putting out there. You said $10,000. Mm-hmm. And so this concept of writing down, saying, okay, well, so now it was the flights, right? Okay, I need exactly X number of dollars to cover the flights. Boom, there it was.
Love that, because that's one of my next questions is how then do you take what you've learned and keep applying it? And that's perfect. Like, flights, and you're like, here's what I need, and it's going to show up, and it does.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. What do you think is the biggest advice that you would give somebody, or that you've learned in this process? Yeah,
I think I wrote down in my story, I talked about 3 things, and one was that you need to be comfortable with the concepts of law of attraction to begin with. Mm-hmm. You can't just go from 0 to 10,000. I mean, if you're manifesting the parking spots, then you're good, right? But if the thought of even manifesting a parking spot isn't real to you, then you need to play with that first. Mm-hmm. The second one was, the other one is how, and this is, really relates to my story, is how you see money. So, or manifesting, because I didn't have someone hand me $10,000 cold cash. Mm-hmm. I got $10,000 in savings, which meant my $10,000 was still in the bank. So savings, you have to expand the way you look at what manifesting cash is. Someone could have handed us brand new appliances, right? And there would have been no exchange of money. Yeah. And that would have still been manifesting the cost of those appliances. So that's a big one. I think, shifting, when someone gives you a gift, if someone buys you a coffee, you've manifested $1.50. Mm-hmm. Or if you go to, one of the bigger chains, $6. Yeah. if someone gives you a ride somewhere because you're going, you carpool, you've manifested the cost of what it would have taken you to get there. So that's a very big, important factor in this, and you talk about that. And the last one for me, and that this has always been big for me, is expressing gratitude, because that's shifting the energy. Right. So when I went through that store and we bought a fridge, I thanked the universe. And then we went and bought we bought the microwave, and I thanked the universe. And then we went and bought the dining room table, and I thanked the universe. It was real time gratitude. Every single time something happened, I said, thank you, universe. And the universe went, oh, she likes this.
Let's give her some more and some more.
We're on the right track. It's exactly that. This is setting positive energy. As an energy worker, that's how I kind of phrase things. But I mean, this is setting energy in a positive vibration. Eliza is saying, yeah, this is positive energy to me. So we keep on going. So
yes,
yeah,
absolutely. I love it. And I also love I'd love for you if you'd share your advice that you would give to anyone who wants to manifest more money in your life, because I think it's super powerful.
What did I say?
Oh, you said you have to, I can help you. You have to work at it every day.
Oh, yes, that one. Oh, that's important. Oh, yes. Okay. It's a verb. That's how I put it. This is a verb. This is an action. And this is one of my, one of my concerns when I talk to people about law of attraction is this. Well, they don't understand why it doesn't work, because they're sitting in their living room dreaming up all these wonderful things. Well, I want this. Why am I not getting this? Because you're just sitting there. It's an action. So, and your book is brilliant for this. So it's an awesome guide, is because you tell us what those actions are. This is your homework. You need to do your research. Like I looked up the appliances. Yes. How much do the appliances cost? What brand of appliance appliances do I want? They said they had to be specific for my husband. You know, I wrote a list. I wrote the dollar amount beside them. I got excited about it as we were heading out. I went, "Ooh, I'm excited to go on this manifesting adventure." And I think you talk about that too. It's like, "Oh, I'm going off on an adventure," and I start building that energy and getting excited about it. But that is a very conscious effort on my part. So, law of attraction and manifesting, you got to do the work. You can't just sit on your butt. You know, it ain't going to work for you. You have to do your part, and it's a dialogue, like we just spoke to. It's a dialogue with the universe. I would like this. The universe says, okay, well, you know, what does that look like to you? What does that feel like to you? You have to show me that. And so you show it, and you feel it, and you write it, and then the universe responds. Then you express gratitude, and then you do the next action, right? It takes work, and it's a way of life. You have to incorporate it as a way of life, not just an exercise you do whenever you want something.
Absolutely. Yes, all this. And what I was thinking is you were saying all the homework that you did is, I think this is one of the biggest places that why people aren't successful. If you've ever not been successful, it might be because you didn't sit down and do the exercises. Like, I didn't read the book and go, okay, I'm going to go manifest $10,000. You read the book, and then you did every single thing that was in the book that you were supposed to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
I did. And it worked.
And it worked. Yeah. But I think a lot of times, you know, I just see people and it's like, oh, I'm going to read another book and I'm going to read another book, but they don't stop and actually do the book. They just read the book.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. And I love it. And you're so right. It is a way of being. It's an everyday life. It's not just this one moment, I want to attract this. It's a way of being.
Yep.
Awesome. So tell us, like, I know what you're manifesting next, and I'd love if you could share it because we can all see it with you being awesome.
Right. So the next thing, so we, like I said, we manifested our dream home, and we did the work. We knew exactly what we wanted, and, you know, and my husband and I did all the work to manifest the house. But what we forgot to do was manifest releasing the other house. So we bought this house because it was, you know, again, it was like, okay, well, here it is. We asked for it. We better buy it, and we did. But we did. So it's a year later. We still own the other house. And now it's time to release it. But it took both of us because it was both our homes. So both of us had to release it. So we had to get in sync that way. And that happened this spring. So in order to explain what I mean by we didn't release it, we still had stuff in there. Mm-hmm. We hadn't given it some TLC. It needed some paint. It needed some new flooring upstairs, things like that. You know, we hadn't spruced up the landscaping, all things that house deserved because it did very well by my husband for 22 years and for me for the last 10 years. Uh-huh. So it deserved all that. And we didn't give it the loving energy that it required, and we didn't release it from our energy in order for it to be moved on. So we've done that work now, and now I am doing my homework, as in I simply trust the house now is sold, in the sense that the universe has arranged for it to be sold. That part I don't have to worry about. Now I'm doing my homework. It's like, okay, what am I doing with the funds from the house? That's what I'm working on now. Yes, because I'm trusting the house is sold. I know the house is sold, and so now it's okay. Well, I'm going to have money. What am I going to do with that money? Yes, awesome, perfect. I'm so excited to hear. I'm so excited to hear how it happens because I know it's already sold, and you're going to have fun stories to share about what you're doing with the money, and that's going to be awesome. And I think you know, like it's a sense of peace and calm that comes over you. It's sort of like it just clicks, just, you know, bam, like that, and you go, oh, it's sold. I don't have to worry about that anymore. Yes. And it's just this wonderful sensation of calm and release, which allows you then to move on to something else. It's amazing. It's an amazing feeling.
Yes. Oh, such a good description of that feeling too. That's awesome. So I'm definitely want to have you share in a second how people can connect with you, because you just do amazing things and amazing artwork that some people probably need to have hanging in their house. But
Thank you.
yes, before that, do you have any last minute, you've given us so much advice and shared so much of your story, any last minute words to sort of wrap up for somebody who's like, okay, I want to get the book and I want to manifest $10,000?
I think we touched on it, which is it's one thing to read the book, it's another thing to do the work. And it's, if you're going, it's an investment in yourself getting the book. So why are you going to stop there, right? Like just you have to do the work, and it's not that onerous. And you just, you can make it fun. You make it part of a daily ritual or whatever. And it's like I said, it's something I tell all my clients, in terms of their intuition, their creativity. You got to stop talking about it, and you got to stop thinking about it, and you have to knuckle under and do the work. And that's when amazing magic happens, right?
Yes.
So it's well worth it.
It's totally, it's absolutely
return on investment is through the roof.
Yes, right? I know. If we took up, like the hour, if we figured out your hourly rate for actually doing the work in the book, like that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So I love that. And it's so true. And of course you can pick up the book at any of your favorite retailers, your local bookstores, Amazon.com, any of those. So Eliza, tell people how they can connect with you and what your superpower is.
My superpower. All right. Well, my superpower, I would say, that's an interesting question. My superpower is being able to cut through all the noise in your life. So for my intuitive tarot readings, that's exactly what I do. It's not future telling. It's not fortune telling at all. It really is a mentoring dialogue. And it's online. It's all done through email and recording, so anybody globally can do it. And it's a dialogue, and it's really about cutting through the noise and zeroing in on what is really important under it all and what actions to take. I'm really big on actions. That's come abundantly clear. So that you can, people can find me at elizafayle.com. They can find out about my readings there. And for my artwork, you can find me on Facebook on Eliza Fayle Creative Flow.
Awesome. Eliza Fayle Creative Flow. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here and sharing your story. I can't actually wait to do the update interview. I'm like seeing that, scripting that in my head right now about all the awesome stuff that happens next. So thank you for sharing your story. Make sure to check out Eliza and her work. If it's calling to you, answer that call, and have a fabulous rest of your day.
Thank you for joining us on The More Money Show. To learn the step-by-step process to welcome more money into your life, go to manifest10k.com.